Hello everyone, I'm Dan Philgreen, and this is Shell Point Today for the weekend of October 18, 19, and 20. On today's show, we offer another reminder about our upcoming Shell Point Open Golf Tournament, including another visit with Mr. Ball. But first, an important health-related notice. Flu season has arrived, and so you need to get inoculated with the most recent flu shot. The medical center is offering flu shots on Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. All you need to do is bring your insurance card and fill out a little bit of paperwork, and they'll get your flu shot. If you have Medicare, the shot is free. But keep in mind, Medicare only covers a free flu shot once every 12 months. So if you got last year's flu shot in December, for example, then you need to wait until December, or pay a small fee and go ahead and get it now. If you have any questions about your medical records or flu shots in general, call the medical center at 454-2146. And if health is just one of your Life Quest goals, then you'll want to join Mary Franklin as she shares the latest health information at the Life Quest group discussion. These events are open to all, and the next Life Quest group discussion happens this Saturday at 10 a.m. in the Grand Cypress Room at the Woodlands. Also this weekend, the Shell Point Library has got an event for you book lovers out there. It's the Library Open House, happening on Saturday from noon to 4 p.m. Resident librarians will be on hand to show you around their new features. They'll have refreshments and door prizes, and hundreds of books will be on sale, many for just $1. All are welcome to the Library Open House, happening Saturday in the Resident Activity Center from noon to 4 p.m. And next week, we want to make sure you know about the Walk to End Alzheimer's. This event brings together people from all over the area to walk through downtown Fort Myers and show their support for Alzheimer's research. And the best part? You don't have to raise money or even pay an entry fee. The community thrift store has taken care of it and will even get you a free t-shirt. The Walk to End Alzheimer's happens next Saturday, October 26th, with court pickup starting at 8 a.m. Sign up by contacting either service desk. Here at Shell Point, we've got our own fundraiser for Alzheimer's. It's the Shell Point Open Golf Tournament, happening Friday, November 8th. This is the 10th year of our charity golf event, and the funds raised go to the Memory Care Center in the Larson Pavilion. Your entry fee gets you 18 holes of golf, not to mention breakfast and lunch, and a chance at numerous prizes, like those brand new cars that you may have seen recently at Shell Point's entrance. This golf event is sponsored by Jason Scoggins and David Moreland of UBS Financial, who recently joined Tim Stevenson for a very interesting practice round.
Hey Tim, how you doing?
Hi Dave, it's good to see you. Good to see you, Jason.
Hey Tim. So ready to play some golf today?
We are. I'm here to warm up for the Shell Point Open Golf Tournament being held Friday, November 8th. This is the 10th Shell Point Open.
Okay.
The Legacy Foundation has been sponsoring.
Hey, what's going on out there?
Shell Point Golf Club for 10 years.
I wonder what they're talking about. Am I going to get to go outside today? I love going outside.
Be the first to be out on the brand new greens at the Shell Point Golf Club.
Is that open to everyone?
It is. And the $125 entry fee includes a lot. It includes 18 holes of golf and a cart. It includes breakfast, lunch, gift bags on the cart, even includes mini massages for all the players.
That sounds great. I guess we need to practice to get ready for it.
That's right. I guess the first thing I need to do is grab some balls.
Okay.
Hey, he's coming over here. This means I get to go outside today. I'm so excited. It's going to be so much fun. Finally, we're outside. It's such a beautiful day today.
So, when do all the festivities start, Tim?
Well, on Friday morning, November 8th, we'll gather for breakfast about 7:30 a.m. And then at 8 o'clock, we're going to start with a shotgun start.
Shotgun start? Ooh, that sounds dangerous.
How you like my driver? I call him Sluggo.
Sluggo? I wonder if he'll be friends with me. Hey, is that big middle thing gonna be mean to me? Hey, he's bringing it too close. What are you gonna do with it? Oh no! Wow, I've never been up so high. Oh, I'm falling. Oh, look out for the sand trap. Oh! Oh! Wow, I'm glad that's it's over.
And this year, we have some special prizes.
Oh yeah? What's that?
Well, we have a hole-in-one competition on one of the holes. If you were to hit a hole-in-one, you get a 2-year lease on a brand new car.
That's worth practicing your iron shots.
Yeah, and don't worry about that one, Jason. I got it.
Wow, a brand new car. We'll be living in luxury. Oh! Look out, I'm getting closer to the hole. Oh! Finally, I'm on the nice soft grass of the green. Nothing bad can happen here.
So Tim, let me get this straight. At the Shell Point Open, you get 18 holes of golf,
Yes.
free breakfast,
Yes.
free lunch,
Exactly.
all these great prizes,
Yes.
all for $125?
Exactly. And you get a chance to do good in your donation.
Guys, why are we standing here? Let's go sign up.
Let's do it.
Hey, guys! Where are you going? Hey, aren't you going to put me in the cup? Hey, I'm all alone out here. Oh! Hey, let me go! Oh, hey, stop that! Hey, I don't want to go for a bath! Oh!
The Shell Point Open Golf Tournament on Friday, November 8th.
It's for everybody. Well, almost everybody.
Actually, this isn't so bad. I have the sun, the water. I could stay here all day.
Let's find out what else we can look forward to in our weekend happenings. Then, after your Academy News, menus, and Village Church Connections, stay tuned for our Shell Point TV Week in Review.
It's the weekend edition of the happenings, and we're going to kick off with Friday morning, 8 a.m. resident flu shots in the medical center from 8 to 4 today. You can stop on in whenever you wish. At 8:15, the Stamp Ministry volunteers will be gathering in the stamp room on the island. 8:30 to 11:30, grab your shopping bags and head to the marketplace in the administration courtyard. Round robin men's doubles tennis will be played at 9 a.m. And if you're signed up for the Susie Q trip to downtown Fort Myers for lunch, you want to be at the dock and ready to go at 9:30 this morning. And canasta will be played in the game room at 10 a.m. And at 10:15 Friday morning, Inquiring Minds Group will be meeting in the Manatee Room on the island. After lunch, mixed progressive bridge will take place at 12:30 in the game room. And at 1:15, table tennis will be played in the Tarpon Room. The Quilters will be gathering for their Friday afternoon event at 1:15 in the Osprey Room. The Model Train Room is open for tours from 1:30 to 3:30 today. And the Vespers group will be gathering in the community room of the Arbor at 1:30. If you enjoy the game of euchre, you'll want to be in the Sable Room of the Woodlands at 2 o'clock. We have another opportunity for Vespers, this time in the community room of King's Crown at 2:45. And if you're signed up, you're heading to the hockey game, going to the Everblades game with an island pickup at 6, Woodlands 6:10, and Eagles Preserve 6:20. And it's Friday night. That means game night in the Resident Activity Center at 6:45. Bev, we start off Saturday bright and early.
We sure do, and we do have a group that goes out one day a month. It's 8 o'clock Saturday for the Adoptive Road cleanup. And we sure appreciate their work, and they do meet at 8 o'clock at Administration Circle. At 8 o'clock, we also have the Round Robin Men's Doubles Tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. 9:45, you'll find Duplicate Bridge. They'll play in the Manatee Room on the island. At 10 o'clock, we have a Life Quest group discussion in the Grand Cypress Room down at the Woodlands. If you would like to participate or just watch, the Model Yacht Sailing Club will be sailing their boats at the Woodland Commons Lake at 10:15. At 12 o'clock, the library open house and book sale will be going on in the Library Lounge at the Resident Activities Center. That's from 12 to 4. At 1 o'clock, chess will be played in the Library Lounge. Now, 1:15, we have a table tennis going on in the Tarpon Room. That will be available all weekend long unless otherwise posted. At 3:15, we have basic line dancing in the Health Club on the island. And then we round out our Saturday lineup with 6:30 Duplicate Bridge in the Manatee Room. That concludes Saturday. Now, Mary's going to tell you about Sunday.
Christian Life Studies will be gathering this morning at 9 a.m. It will be meeting in the game room at the Woodlands, and at 9:15 at the Village Church. Then at 10:15 we have our morning worship at the Village Church, and it will be broadcast live on Shell Point TV, Channel 12. 2 o'clock is the time for the Mixed Golf League to tee it off, and at 2:30 the Sunday matinee Out of Africa will be shown in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands. 3:15 ballroom line dancing for beginners will take place at the Health Club, and we wrap up Sunday night and the weekend with the evening service at 6:15 in the Village Church. Thanks for joining us. And Festival of Heroes is upon us in just a few more weeks, but there's a few things you need to do now. Don't forget to pick up your ticket for the picnic that will kick off the festivities. And if you would like to display a picture of your hero on the Wall of Heroes that week, those need to be turned into the service desk by November 1st. It's going to be a great week. Let's all get involved. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Friday and the weekend. On Friday at 9 o'clock, Life Review, Reminiscence, continues in the Buttonwood Room of the Woodlands. At 9:15, Adobe Photoshop Elements will take place in the Computer Teaching Center on the island, and sign-up is required. At 10 o'clock, the iPhone, iPod, and iPad digital photography class will meet in the Sable Room of the Woodlands if you signed up. Next week, we have some new classes for you. On Monday, HDTV, Possibilities with the iPad by Bruce Findlay of Sundial. Our Arab Culture Session 3 will take place in the Village Church Auditorium, a new location. On Tuesday, we have a computer college class, Advanced Memoirs on the Computer, with 2 Lakewood ladies, Lucille Peterson and Marty Gibson. We also have the 7 Wonders of the Ancient World, Session 1 with Professor Adrian Kerr, and an Apple iPad Got One, Now What? The Basics class with Bruce Findlay of Sundial. The Computer College will bring us a how-to using a word processor with Russ Cray of Oakmont. On Wednesday, we have Why Do the Nations Rage? Session 1 of a 3-session program by Andy Hawkins, Senior Pastor at the Village Church. Please note, this class will no longer be held in the Grand Cypress Room. It has grown too large. We're holding it at the Village Church, and you are all welcome. We'll also have a computer college class. So you've got Windows 8. Now, what are you going to do with it? This is a Level 1 course by Floyd Jamison of Parkwood. We'll also offer writing and illustrating a 32-page picture book. This will take place with Sandy Ayler of Eagles Preserve as our instructor. We have a computer college class, Internet Prep School, Help and Support, brought to us by Richard Nelson of Lakewood. Then on Friday, our new class is iPhone, iPod, and iPad Digital Photography with Bruce Findlay of Sundial.
Menus for your weekend. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter on Friday is crab cakes with vegetable rice, sugar snaps, and peppers. For dinner, the special is the seafood buffet for $14.95, and the soup of the day is split pea. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Friday, enjoy a French dip with chips for $7.25. The dinner special is Chef's Choice for $8.25. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill on Friday are lamb chops for $20.95 or Florida lobster for $18.95. On Saturday, the Crystal Room is closed. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Saturday, enjoy a chili dog with baked beans and fries for $7.25. The dinner special is pork chop marsala with mashed potatoes and mixed vegetables for $8.25. The dinner specials at the Palm Grill on Saturday are prime rib for $19.95 or baked garlic shrimp for $13.95. On Sunday, the Crystal Room features its Sunday brunch for $17.50. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Sunday, enjoy a ham, egg, and cheese English muffin with fresh fruit for $7.25. Dinner special is Chef's Choice for $8.25. And the Palm Grill is closed on Sundays. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, Randy Woodson. I'm here with Pastor Andy today. Looking forward to another weekend as we worship together here at the Village Church. And Pastor Andy, we've been the several months now going through this book of Ephesians, talking about the real great society. and we've almost come to a conclusion.
We, in fact, will come to a conclusion this week, I promise.
Very good.
People have been wondering when we're going to get there, but we're finally there. Or the final message in the book of Ephesians. Last week we actually concluded the book in chapter 6, but I wanted to take a week to simply wrap things up. Because obviously there was a reason why in my first sermon series that I selected the book of Ephesians, and it had to do a lot about the value of the church and how important the church is in the eyes of Christ and in the eyes of God. And so I want to take a week to just simply reflect on that for a while and ask the question, do we love the church?
Okay.
Do we love the church as much as Jesus loves the church? And why is that important? So we're going to explore those issues as the book of Ephesians has unfolded answers to those questions, and just to simply wrap up the series in a way that highlights the main issue.
Well, as we worship together, obviously we share in the preaching, the teaching ministry, which we appreciate so much, and then the number of people who contribute to the expressions of praise, help to lead us in worship this week. Elva Matthews will be playing organ Sunday morning.
Great, yeah.
Janice Peoples at the piano, and I've asked Nani Lett to direct the choir. And so all those singers with the ladies leading will be a special time. I invite you to join us Sunday morning at 10:15 at the Village Church, but also Sunday night.
Yep.
We have a very unique presentation, as you've heard about earlier this week. The ladies are inviting us to sit around the table and come enjoy a cup of coffee.
That's exactly right. I'm looking forward to it, even though I don't drink coffee.
I don't either, but I know many do. And what's really interesting to me is the number of places around the world where coffee shops have become a very significant venue for folks to encounter the living Christ. Through conversation, friendship, sitting around a table, drinking a cup of coffee. So much is happening in ministry, and I know the ladies are sharing about that. The women's ministry here at the church will be presenting what is known as the Alliance Women's National Project. So as we share together, it should be another great time of fellowship and instruction. Sunday night at 6:15.
And I know something about the folks who are putting this on. I'm sure it's going to be a very entertaining evening as well.
I'm sure it will. You won't want to miss it. So Sunday night and as well Sunday morning. If you're not able to join us at the church on Sunday morning, be sure to tune in to Shell Point TV, Channel 12, for the live broadcast. And then throughout the week, particularly on Tuesday and Thursday, the service is rebroadcast at 8, 4, and 8 on Shell Point TV, Channel 13. So it's going to be a great weekend. We look forward to concluding this study and sharing in worship as we celebrate God's goodness here at the Village Church. Thank you. Thank you, Andy, for joining me today.
My pleasure.
I look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
It's time now to replay some of the week's best stories from Shell Point TV. And we began this week visiting Karen Hubbard's colored pencil class in the Academy, which starts next Wednesday.
We started this colored pencil class primarily because some of the people in the art club wanted to have something to do on a Saturday. So we did 4 sessions, Saturday, Monday, Saturday, Monday. I think we've all enjoyed it very much. And in this session, we've concentrated more on different techniques, different ways to do things with colored pencil, how to use them differently. We didn't come in and make a color wheel or draw an apple as we've done in previous classes, so it was a little different for everyone. And for some of them, this is the second or third time they've done it. Colored pencil is very, very relaxing. It gets very quiet in here. You can hear a pin drop. And it's also a medium that's kind of come into its own in the last 30 to 35 years. They currently have a lot of different organizations that you can belong to, or you can go online and check them out. It's become quite popular. I would say we probably have maybe 4 different organizations here in the state of Florida that are really devoting their time to it. It's quite reasonable as an art medium. It's very portable because you can just close up the box and go. You need a pad of paper and your pencils, and that's it. It doesn't require any water, although you can use liquids with it. So all in all, it's been a little different for all of us to do that, and I think we've all enjoyed it.
This is a new medium for me, and this is the way I started out. And then I was talking to one of my friends here, and I found out I was supposed to do it more gently. So this is what I've done. So this is intense and this is softer. But anyway, I love this new medium, and but it's different than everything I've ever done before.
I love cats. I've always had cats since I was 6 years old. My last 3 cats have been Maine Coon cats. I miss having a cat here at Shell Point, and so I'm drawing Maine Coon cats to satisfy my longing for them.
This one started out about this big, and I scanned it, put it in Word 10, grabbed the corner and made it smaller, and then I went to the color correction and I got it very intense. It wasn't quite that intense as I drew it. And when I got it like I wanted it, I noticed that there was another button that said Effects, and I clicked that and it reversed the colors. And then I cut them out. This is on photo paper, and I cut them out and put them on cardstock. I'm going to do the same thing with this one.
Well, I'm hooked. I mean, I am doing this at home all the time. When I have a few minutes, I'm in sitting down, putting on another layer, another layer, another layer. It's just really fascinating. And Karen is teaching us so much about the color, because you have to learn about layering color on one another to get the color you want in the end. So that's what's really been good.
We were just talking here in general about all of the work, the wonderful work that everyone is doing. It is so different. It's such a wonderful way to relax. You know, you spend hours and you don't even realize how much time you spent. And I think we need to say a little plug here for our wonderful teacher. I think she's just been very, very helpful to us in so many ways, and we've all had a great time during this class.
We visited with 2 auxiliary volunteers who love to give their time with the beverage cart.
Hello everyone, I am here today with 2 very important volunteers with the Pavilion Auxiliary. During our annual Bakeless Bake Sale, we look forward to sharing with you some of the work that our Pavilion Auxiliary does. Today we're talking about our beverage cart. We're talking with Ida Shields of Coquina and Dr. Mary Hartwick of Nautilus. Thank you for joining me, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
It is such a pleasure to hear the story of the beverage cart and how the 2 of you met and how you've gone on to manage and support over 50 volunteers on a regular basis in the pavilion. Ida, what is the beverage cart? What does it do, basically?
The beverage cart is a means of serving extra liquids to the residents of the pavilion to keep them hydrated. So we do that twice a day, morning and afternoon, and we do it 7 days a week. Actually, we don't have anyone working on Sunday presently. We have had, but it's available. But 7 days a week, twice a day, we go through the pavilion, the first floor and the third floor. We give them beverages, fruit juices, and sodas from a cart that's given to us by the dietary.
So they know who's getting what, and they give you the information, and you give people choices of what beverage do they want from the choices that are available to them.
We have a chart that is given to us each time, and it tells the needs of the residents, and then we have to meet that need. Some can't take straws, and some are diabetic, and there are certain restrictions for drinking, so we have to watch that. We have to be careful that we're giving it to the right person. So there's a lot to doing it. We need to be pleasant and cooperative and helpful.
That's so true. And Mary, you shared with me that you and Ida had never known each other before you started volunteering. We do this in 2 at a time for a lot of reasons. We send the card out with 2 people at a time. So you met each other and got to be friends.
Oh, yes, we did. And, of course, I feel responsible for making the recommendation that Ida volunteer to be the chairperson. It has segued into a very fine working relationship. But this is a very meaningful position for me because I'm almost 85, and there's not that much kind of volunteering that comes easily anymore. But in relation to the beverage cart, I can do it. And so I look forward to going into the room. To me, it's like a rite, a ritual, and you knock on the door and beverage cart, would you like something cool to drink? My best moment was the day the lady looked up at me with this radiant expression on her face, and she said, "Where do you get this apple juice? This is the most wonderful apple juice in the world." Well, I was so stunned, I couldn't bring myself to say, well, it's in a merchandising white box that sits in a refrigerator. I wanted to say something like, we have this pipeline to the state of Washington, and we call them up and tell them, send immediately your wonderful apple juice.
Well, I think that is exactly the kind of story that represents not only the two of you, but the joy that comes from service in the pavilion. You're doing far more. It's important to hand somebody that beverage. Yes. They need it. But you're giving them so much more, some time and attention and great conversation. Is that something that that motivates most of your volunteers, would you think, Ida?
I think so, yes. Matter of fact, it's hard to keep them doing their serving. They just want to stop and talk.
And visit, sure.
I wanted to latch on to your word giving, because that's exactly how I perceive. It's a gift, and therefore a privilege. So I'd like to say thank you to you and others for being able to do this.
It's a wonderful situation, the Pavilion Auxiliary. And these are two ladies that I wanted you to meet because they're very representative of what 250 auxiliary volunteers do on a regular basis in our Larson Pavilion. As you heard, they're looking for a couple more volunteers. They always have opportunities. So please give me a call if you're interested. And the first step is auxiliary orientation. We'd all like to invite you to support the Bakeless Bake Sale.
This week was Oktoberfest at the Crystal, and our What's Cooking cooks took the opportunity to whip up their own German dish.
Willkommen! Wie geht's? Today is a very special show. In a way, it is sort of an apology to all of those that did not get to go to the Academy that was on the 4th of October. We're going to start with the main dish here, which is the bratwurst. And I'm going to take you over and we're going to do sort of the end of the recipe before we get into how it's made. So if Dan can follow me over here. This recipe has already been in a 400-degree oven for about 35 minutes. And this last step is to put a little bit of butter on the top, and then it will go back in the oven for another 20 minutes. So I wanted you to see this final step because we won't be able to go through it all. But this will be ready for us to sample. So this goes back in the 400-degree oven. So I don't forget about it. Alrighty. Now the ingredients for this, the main ingredient, of course, is your sauerkraut and onions. Slice thin. I'll just take the cover off of that.
Ruth, did you rinse the sauerkraut? Did you rinse
That is very important. Thank you, Dee Dee. I forgot to say that. It's very important that you rinse the sauerkraut and drain it. If you don't, you're going to have a bitter taste to it. There's some special seasoning in it, and that is caraway seed and fennel seed. Now what you want to do is crush the seeds, and then it calls for 1 tablespoon of flour, and the flour that we use is Wondra, not regular flour. So I'm going to put that in with the flour. You can use either a 7 by 11 pan or you can use a 9-inch square pan. And for your first layer, what you're going to do first is you're going to take about 1/3 or so of this flour mixture, And then you're going to layer thinly sliced onions. It says a half of a large sweet onion.
And they've already been peeled and cored.
And on this layer of onions, we're going to take another third. I don't think that has to be too exact. And now we're going to take half of our apples.
Madame?
There.
But I'll have to ask our son now, when you address something like a male, like Mr. and Mrs., is it hare and heron?
This is your brats, your bratwurst, and I prefer the Johnsonville. I think on the recipe I say Johnson, but it is Johnsonville. And it's the original bratwurst. You can see this is a very important step in your brats, and that is to pierce them. We want to get them pierced all the way around. And we'll just tuck the rest of these apples around the brats. This is a half a cup of beef broth, or you can use apple cider. And it calls for a tablespoon either of vermouth or of dry white wine, or you can just add a little bit more of the beef broth. And then it calls for a tablespoon of catsup. So this is going to get poured over there. And it calls for a bay leaf. We'll just tuck that right in there. And we want to cover it tightly with Reynolds wrap. Make sure it is sealed very tightly. And this will bake in the 400-degree oven, let's say for 35 minutes.
We're also doing the German Kartoffel salad, which is the German potato salad, which we're all pretty familiar with. It calls for heat to boiling, 2 tablespoons of water, and 1/4 cup of cider vinegar, which I have right here. 1/4 teaspoon salt. And 1/16 teaspoon paprika. Well,
how about a shake?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's good. Ooh, well, we might have a little bit more. And 2 tablespoons of dry mustard. The recipe doesn't call for bacon grease. And then while this heats up, we'll go back and assemble. And Ruth has gone ahead and cooked our 3 medium potatoes, peeled and sliced, and they're still warm. Now, I think, Ruth, don't you think that if you wanted to do this ahead of time, you could go ahead and do it and just quickly zap them in the microwave?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, if you're doing this ahead for a party, go ahead.
Way ahead of time.
Way ahead of time. And then we have to add 2 strips of bacon, minced and cooked, and 2 tablespoons of chopped onion, and 1/2 cup of chopped dill pickle. Now, this is not pickle relish. Pickle relish is usually sweet.
It's sweet.
It's a sweet.
No, these are regular dill pickles.
Dill pickles.
Yeah.
This is something that I used at home for both my onions and my dill pickles, and Ruth has one too. This is at Publix. It's relatively inexpensive. It is so easy to use. And for things like this, it makes chopping a breeze. The only trick, because it is small, is you want to go ahead and cut your pieces, you know, 1 inch piece or so. And I cut my dill pickles in, I had little midget dill pickles, so I cut them in 2 or 3 pieces. And then the other trick is that you don't just run it constantly, you pulse it. And by pulsing it, the bigger stuff falls down so that you don't just mush everything together. Voila. 2 tablespoons chopped celery. So there's 1. 2. Okay, and then I'm just going to mix this up a little bit before we add our hot dressing that's been over on the stove. If we made this ahead of time, you'd add the bacon at the last so it wouldn't get too soggy. Oh, perfect timing.
How about that?
All right, there we have our German potato salad.
brats mit apples, Äpfel.
Ooh, they look good.
Oh,
wait till you see these.
There they are. They're the onions and the apples. Everything have cooked through.
That butter really adds a lot. If you're thinking about cholesterol and diet and stuff like that, you probably oughtn't to eat German food.
That's
but
right.
if you only do it every once in a while, because it is full of wonderful, tasty things.
We've got some chunks of bread, and I'm actually going to do a little Kerrygold garlic and herb butter. And this makes a nice little spread. And for dessert, we served Bavarian cream. This is Ellen and Larry Crouch's recipe for Bavarian cream, and that is already up on the website. And then you've got to have a little snickerdoodle with Bavarian cream. The sausage is going to be pretty hot, but I'm just going to taste a little bit of the sauerkraut.
I take a little bit of the potato salad.
You going to join me?
I will, but I'm going to make sure that it's cool.
Okay.
That's very good.
Well, we like it really well. Thank you so much for letting us come into your home and show you about our Oktoberfest. Hopefully next year, if we do something like this again, have to remind you, you got to sign up the week you get your Academy booklet.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you look for the recipes on www.shellpoint.net. Goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. Bye-bye.
Tiffany Williams of Finemark Bank told us about the importance of the FDIC.
Hello, I'm Tiffany Williams, Managing Executive for Finemark National Bank and Trust on the island. In today's Finemark Minute, we're reviewing what's covered under the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. We've had a lot of people ask us about the limit changing at the end of this year. The limit was raised from $100,000 to $250,000 in 2008. It was set to revert back this coming December, but the federal government has since permanently boosted the bank deposit insurance to $250,000. This should ease a lot of concerns. The FDIC is an independent agency of the U.S. government that protects the funds depositors place in banks and savings associations. FDIC insurance is backed by the U.S. government, and no depositor has ever lost a single cent of FDIC insured funds. FDIC insurance covers all deposit accounts, including checking and savings, money market deposit accounts, and certificates of deposit. FDIC insurance does not cover stocks, bonds, mutual fund shares, life insurance policies, annuities, or securities. The standard insurance amount is $250,000 per depositor per insured bank. However, there are ways to have more of your money protected. Depositors may qualify for additional coverage if they have funds in different ownership categories. For example, if you have a revocable trust account or make an account payable on death, coverage limits are $250,000 per owner per beneficiary, up to 5 beneficiaries. If you'd like to learn more about FDIC coverage, feel free to stop by Finemark on the island or give us a call at 461-5999. I'm Tiffany Williams with today's Finemark Minute.
Balance Basics is a slower-paced balance class, ideal for those in assisted living. Here are the details.
I'm Mary Franklin here with Craig Norling, Fitness Coordinator. We are talking about a Health Connections program titled Balance Basics at Assisted Living. It's going to run October 21st through December 11th, meeting every Monday and Wednesday in between those dates from 1 to 1:30. They'll be meeting in the King's Crown Community Room, and the cost is $80 for the 8-week session. So what can one expect when they sign up for Balance Basics at Assisted Living?
Well, in this one, it's a little bit slower pace. We do a lot of stuff sitting down, but we still focus on strengthening everything from your feet all the way up to your upper body, and a lot of stability, again, from your feet all the way up.
And this class is for anyone who's feeling a little challenged in the balance area and aren't quite ready for balance level 1 or 2. Anybody can go to this class, correct?
Correct.
And also, this class is for 30 minutes, so you cover for 30 minutes. It's a little bit shorter than the regular class. Well, this is a great class being offered here at Shell Point. It's Balance Basics at Assisted Living, meeting on Mondays and Wednesdays, October 21st through December 11th. The whole series costs $80, and it's held in the King's Crown Community Room. And once again, it's available for the entire Shell Point population. I'm Mary Franklin with Craig Norling. Make it a happy and healthy day.
Dr. Harry Tsai has a class coming up dealing with common topics in urology. Here's a preview.
Thank you for joining the Health Connection segment of SPTV. I'm Mary Franklin here today with Dr. Tsai, who is coming back once again to Shell Point to talk about common urology conditions and the treatment options of those. And that will take place in the Social Center on Tuesday, October 22nd at 10:15 in the morning. Dr. Tsai, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
You are one of our specialty doctors here at the Arbor, so you get to see quite a few of our residents here at Shell Point. What are the most common reasons you see our residents?
I would say for women, probably urinary tract infections and urinary incontinence. And for men, probably prostate enlargement and maybe blood in the urine.
What are the general treatment? Is it always medicine or surgery or combination?
Right. For urinary tract infections, most of the time it's medicine, obviously antibiotic treatments. But the biggest problem I think we see here is just recurrence. We just seem to see a lot of patients who we treat them, but then they keep getting these infections. A lot of them could be dietary, fluid related, but a lot of patients are in assisted living and some live in the pavilion. So I think there's a higher incidence of infections in those who may be, in the acute care setting or subacute setting.
And I know one of the topics, hydration, is a big one.
Right.
And we have that in an upcoming session in the Health Connection to talk about that, because then if you're not hydrated, it just spins, and UTIs is just one of those issues.
Right, and people worry because if they have if they go too frequently to the bathroom, they say, well, if I drink more, then I'm just going to go more, so I'll just take care of the frequency. But then what they don't realize is when they get dehydrated, then they're also at risk for infections, kidney stones, other things like that.
And you'll give a presentation, talk about all the conditions and the solutions to those, but you want people to come with questions and answers.
Exactly. Everybody has a different take on their problem, so we welcome questions, sure.
And we want it to be a safe environment.
Right.
I know this is not an easy topic to talk about, but we all do it.
Yes.
So come with your questions and answers, because we can learn from each other in this group setting.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, this is going to be an interesting topic on Tuesday, October 22nd. It's the common urology conditions and treatment options of such. Take place in the Social Center at 10:15 a.m. And if you want to sign up, you can do so at either service desk. Dr. Tsai, thanks for being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
I'm Mary Franklin. Have a happy and healthy day.
Do you have math anxiety? You're not alone. Dick Brown is offering an academy class for those who don't like math. Let's find out more.
Hello, I'm Terry Kolath, and I'm here today with Dick Brown of Parkwood. He is going to teach a class in the fall session of the Academy of Lifelong Learning, and it is math for those who never liked math. Dick, I happen to be one of those people. And when you walked into my office and said you were a math teacher and you were interested in teaching math and you were so excited about the subject of math, I thought, let's give it a try. I have never talked to someone so excited about math. How long have you been excited about math?
Since I was very little. I always loved it. But I find, particularly when I'm out talking to people, and they say, what'd you do? I say, I taught math. And if they don't walk away, they'll at least say, oh, I hated the subject. And this is, of course, for those who never liked math. And it's for those who had anxiety for some reason or other. And for those who never realized that math could be fun and interesting.
Well, I think now, at our ages, we are willing to take a chance on things. We are willing to give something a little bit of time that maybe really wasn't our passion when we were younger. And what I like about you, just in the brief time I've known you, is you link math up to so many other topics. What are we going to talk about in this class? Let's look at some of this.
Well, Terry, for example, let's take this this art by Escher. You got these three little different colored men spiraling around, and there are very special points in the art, where the heads come together, where the knees come together, where the feet come together. By contrast, this work, also by Escher, features fish and birds and turtles, and it evokes an entirely different feeling from you, the viewer. And yet, the underlying mathematical symmetries are exactly the same, and this is the type of thing we'll talk about. We'll talk about, for example, an entirely different piece of art where you have horsemen that are traveling left and traveling right, and there's similarity to the music, one of Bach's fugues, where you have music that's going up and almost simultaneously music that's going down in exactly the same increments. And I talked about the symmetries in nature and so forth. Spirals are particularly interesting. For example, here's a storm that's centered over Iceland, and it's got this lovely equiangular spiral. Well, if you ever looked at the head of a cauliflower or broccoli, the head has the same kind of spirals. It's a very prevalent spiral in nature, and we'll talk a lot about that.
Now, you're going to take us from my memory of math, which is, okay, I got the addition, the subtraction, the multiplication, the division. We got into fractions, percentage.
Yeah.
It got to be a little bit crazy.
I understand entirely. But this course will have none of that. Forget the quadratic equations, forget the complex fractions, forget those crazy situations where two trains leave two different stations at two different times. None of that. This, I guarantee, will be fun and interesting and very interactive. It won't be teacher lecturing. It'll be teacher, student, student, student.
Now, you are the person to do this because you have some interesting awards, a Presidential Award for Excellence in Math Teaching.
I did receive the award from the first President Bush. I went to Washington with my wife, along with one math teacher from every state in the Union. It was quite an experience.
And then you've written textbooks on math. Now, I can't even imagine writing a textbook on math. How did you make it interesting for your students?
Well, among other things, I put cartoons in the books. This was sort of revolutionary. I have to say that there are probably many Shell Point residents whose children and grandchildren have used the textbooks I've written.
Well, we are going to get another chance, and we are so looking forward to Math for Those Who Never Liked Math, and it is beginning October 31st. Sign up at either service desk, and you'll have some time with Dick Brown, a man who does like math.
Ann Wills worked at the Hershey Museum in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Let's learn more about that history.
Well, I actually was born in Philadelphia, but we moved to Wilmington, Delaware when I was 3 years old. So that's where I grew up. And then I married Tom in 1952, and we lived in Upper New York for a little while. But then we came back to Wilmington, and we stayed there until 1978. The DuPont company had purchased a small electronics company outside of Harrisburg, and we fell in love with Hershey and found a house in the woods up on the hill and just decided that was the place for us. So that's when we moved to Hershey, Pennsylvania. Where we happened to settle was sort of up on the hill outside of Hershey, and when the wind was right, you would have the smell of chocolate up there. But after Mr. Hershey started the chocolate company, he also bought Reese's company. So at the other end of town, you smelled roasted peanuts. So it was, you couldn't win for losing. If you wanted to go on a diet, forget it. You just had to get a chocolate fix at the Hershey drugstore every once in a while. Chocolate Avenue is the main street, and then it crosses with Cocoa. And along the street are the street lights, which are Hershey Kisses. And every other one is a wrapped Hershey Kiss, silver with the tag, and then the other ones in between are the brown ones. So that's a fun thing about Hershey. Milton Hershey was responsible for starting this whole little area. He became an apprentice for a caramel maker outside of Lancaster. But in the meantime, he became interested in the manufacture of milk chocolate. And at that time, the Swiss were the only people who were making milk chocolate. It was a very refined, esoteric kind of thing. But he was determined. And so he started out with the manufacture of milk chocolate. And so he moved to Derry Township, where he had been born. The dairy farms were there. And there's a wonderful, hard-working, industrious population. And the chocolate company was actually founded in 1903. And he became the founder of the town. He realized as an uneducated person himself how important education was. So schools were started, there was churches. It was just a beautiful kind of model town. Because he and his wife did not have any children, they decided that it would be a wonderful investment to have a school for orphan boys. And so the school was started in 1909. Started out in the countryside. You know, there were dairy farms around, and the boys lived in the farms and actually worked on the farms. It was called the Hershey Industrial School originally. And then gradually, over a period of time, it has become fairly much an academic school. It's incredible the number of boys that are there, and when we lived there, we'd see them come back for reunions, so appreciative of what they had received, because 30% of the chocolate company went to the school. The amusement park, yes, that was actually started as a small park. I remember taking our children there when we still lived in Delaware. The one time I remember when I really had to become very brave was when my son and I went to Hershey Park, and he was feeling a little displaced because he was going into his junior year in high school. He really didn't know anybody. So he said, "Mom, will you go on the Super Duper Looper with me?" And I hated roller coasters. But anyway, I steeled myself and I got on that Super Duper Looper and closed my eyes through the whole thing. He said, "Mom, you have to open your eyes. The sky's under your feet." And since then, I think they've added, I don't know how many other rides. And then there was a big swimming pool at one point too, and a dance place. There's all kinds of things, everything you could imagine. And the other thing that we used to enjoy was at the theater. There was a beautiful theater organ there, and we go down and see old movies and hear somebody actually play the organ. Coming from Wilmington, which was mainly a mecca for the DuPont Company, and the people there were fairly well educated, quite well educated. Somebody said to us when they heard that we were moving to Hershey, "Well, you can always talk to the cows." 3 of our children had grown up and were gone, and I was trying to find something to do to occupy my time. And so one of my neighbors suggested that I become a docent at the Hershey Museum of American Life. And I did that for a while. I led school groups through the museum. Mr. Hershey had, because of his interest in culture and education, he had bought various collections. He had an Indian collection, he had a Pennsylvania German collection. My main job there was to demonstrate the apostolic clock, which is a 11-foot clock. It depicts the betrayal of Christ. And so every hour, a quarter of the hour, I would gather up all the people in the museum and ask them to come over to the apostolic clock, and I would tell them the story. And there were little wooden figures that would march out, and they were the apostles. And then the high point, the drama, was when Judas came out and turned his back on Christ and turned out and looked at the audience. So here people are kind of agog at this, you know. It still lives at the museum, but it's not played as much anymore because the wear and tear was getting to be too high. But in addition to that, then Mr. Hershey had a collection of mechanical music boxes, and so I would play music boxes for the people.
You get visitors from everywhere.
Everywhere, and I had more fun trying to identify the accents, try to pick up on what parts of the country, what parts of the world people were from. And once in a while we had a few. We had Jackie Gleason came in one time, I remember that, and he was trying to be very low profile, and I was thinking, that has to be Jackie Gleason. Oh yes, it was. Because it's a very popular place. And of course then Mr. Hershey built that beautiful hotel up on the hill, which is a place where people go for conventions and meetings and that sort of thing, and it's become a very attractive place because it has a spa where you can be covered with chocolate. My parents moved here actually when it was just 4 years old. The church hadn't been built yet, the Crystal Dining Room wasn't open. So basically my children grew up here, you know, coming down to visit. And my parents both ended up in the pavilion. So whenever we would come, the people in the pavilion, the nurses and the staff said, "Oh, you're coming, you're going to bring us one of those 5-pound Hershey bars." So we go in with these great big Hershey bars, you know, and they'd split it up and share it amongst the people on the floor. We came to really love the area and just feel very at home here now.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in next week for more stories and news from around your community. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for the weekend of October 18th, 19th, and 20th. I'm Dan Philgreen, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday.